In this video, I'm actually showing you 3 different things in one video. So one of them is going to be homemade pasta. Going to show you just how easy that is. If this old southern Mississippi redneck can do it, then anybody can do it. It's very simple, especially if you use a food processor, which I'm using today. And after that, we're going to put together a real easy, simple crawfish etouffee that's going to be on top of this pasta. We're going to be doing some beer batter, fried fish, light, fluffy, crispy, and we're going to get started right now with this pasta. So what I've got is I have weighed exactly 300 grams of a pasta flour. Let me show you the flour real quick. Anyway, it's just a pasta flour that I've got off of Amazon. It's the right grind and everything about it is perfect for pasta. I've already done this, so I know it works well. So simply just add your flour into your food processor. Now, in addition to that, I've got 1 teaspoon of salt going in. Now what I've got here is I've measured out 185 grams of eggs. I started off with 2 whole eggs. I got 3 egg yolks, wasn't quite up to 185, so I took some of that egg white and added to it. You could also use water, just whatever it takes to get up to 185 grams. So you got 300 grams of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 185 grams of egg. Now I'm going to put this on the dough setting. It's not going to take long. When you hear your motor starting to get in a bind, turn it off and we'll finish it by hand. There, you can hear that getting in a bind. Don't want to burn your processor up. So I'm just going to put a little bit of flour on this paper here. Give me more of a working surface so that I can work with. This dough should not be very wet at all. And you really can't tell at this stage right here. Go ahead and remove this part. Now this is the part we're going to work by hand. And you ain't got to overwork it or anything. Just take the palm of your hand, turn it this way, turn it this way, and just work that in and give it a good knead. Most of the work has been done by the processor. Work it just like you would a pizza dough. Just stretch that dough until you get kind of a smooth surface, twisting your bottoms just about like that. Got our plastic wrap. Place your dough right here. Let's cut our plastic wrap. And all we want to do is just seal this to stop it from drying out. And we're just going to let this rest right out here for about 30 minutes. Well, normally I'd be doing this in the house, but I love cooking outdoors and I don't see no reason why we can't do it out here. Got my outdoor stove right behind me and we're going to do all this outdoors. I've been letting this dough rest for a little while. You want to go at least 30 minutes, and here's what you're looking for, and I should have showed you from the get-go. Earlier, if I would have pressed in, it would have sprung right back. Now you can see it's not springing right back, which means it's relaxed. The gluten in it has relaxed, so that's what we're wanting. Now, as I suspected, this has gotten a little wet, so we want to go ahead and prep up our area here with a little bit of flour. Let me just put some in a pile here. Then we can kind of just spread it around. All right, so we're gonna take our dough, just put a little bit of flour on both sides. You don't want this sticky. And I can't believe raw dough is attracting these flies, but it is. Now I'm gonna divide this into like 4 pieces. Now from here, just flour it up real good. Now I've got this pasta machine right here that makes this very easy, and you want to set it on 0. That is your widest gap between these rollers here, and you just get it started. And once it goes through, you grab the bottom end You want to run it through 3 times at this setting. There's one. All right, let's put some more flour on this. Just like that. Let's turn this knob to number 3. That's tightening up the rollers. It's going to make it thinner and wider. Once again, we're going to roll this through 3 times. Now we're only going to run it through twice on this number 6 setting. That will be the final setting. Let that hang. Grab the front of it. So what I want to do at this point is actually cut it down to where it's a little bit easier to work with. We'll just cut that there. Run this through one more time. And we are looking good. That's nice and thin. That's exactly what we're looking for. And I want to cut this down again. I'm going to make sure it's got some flour on this end to where it won't stick to anything. We're just going to lay this over here for later use. Do the same thing with this one. All right, I'm gonna get the rest of these done exactly like this, and once I get them all done, we're gonna move this unit here, and we're gonna move it way over here, because when we turn and cut these into noodles, it'll be going in the opposite direction. To cut these into ribbons, or noodles, do basically the same thing, but it's in the opposite direction. Just grab them under here, and feed it through. Just like that.
Okay, look at that.
And we're going to take and lay these on a pasta drying rack. That way they won't stick together. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these done. And the next time you see these noodles, they'll be going into a pot of boiling salted water. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get to rolling with this thing, and I'm gonna start by making a beer batter. Just gonna go ahead and get that out of the way. I've got 1 cup of all-purpose flour going in, got 1 egg going in, got 12 ounces of beer going in. You can use just a domestic Pilsner, and this beer does a couple of things, but one thing it does is it adds a lot of air and carbonation into this batter. Now I'm using the PS Seasonings Bad Juju. This is their Cajun seasoning, and I've used it a lot on a lot of different things. Really good. We're just going to look at this and kind of judge it, eyeball it. That's looking good. All right, we're going to give this a really good mix. Now if it's too thin, you add more flour. If it's too thick, you add more beer. Just that simple. But what you want to end up with is not as thick as a pancake batter, but you do want it to be able to stick and cling to the fish. Oh yeah, that's looking good there. It's got some body to it, but it's not so thick. As you can see, it's pourable. It's liquidy, but it's not too liquidy. It's going to coat that fish well, and that's what we're looking for. All right, I'm going to show you a very simple, very easy way to make crawfish etouffee. And I've got this recipe on YouTube from a channel named Kendall Frederick. They call him Ken. He goes by Ken, but the name of his channel is Kendall Frederick. And let me tell you, these are the kind of videos that I watch. This is just down home, real deal, Southern Louisiana type stuff. He takes you fishing, he shows crawfish and frog gigging, you name it, some stuff farming, and he also does cooking. But he had done a video with this man that crawfishes for a living, and they were up in the basin off the river there, and they were setting these traps, and man, I was just glued to that. And that was part 1 to a part 2 series. Part 2, he took the fresh crawfish, he invited them same guys over, and he had the crawfish etouffee that I'm getting ready to make here, and he also had like fried crawfish, they call that Cajun popcorn, as well as some fish. Now, I have done crawfish etouffee in the past on my channel, but it was done with a roux. Okay, it's a little bit more involved than what this is, but this is super easy, and I could not believe just how delicious this was. And you'll see why I'm saying that here shortly. So we're starting with 1 stick of butter. I'm just melting that in. Turn my heat up just a touch. I did a trial run on the same dish last weekend just for me and my wife, and I have always eaten crawfish etouffee with rice, and that's the way most people down here do. I know the folks over in Louisiana, they always do it with rice. Well, I did the fresh pasta like I'm making today, and let me tell you, it was really, really good. Pairs well with the crawfish etouffee, and it's just another good way of doing it. It's a good spin on it. But you can certainly take this simple recipe and use rice with it. All right, our butter is almost melted. I've got the Cajun Trinity going in, and what I've got is 1 large onion. You can use a white onion, yellow onion, doesn't matter. I got 1 medium bell pepper, 2 stalks of celery, and I've got 5 cloves of garlic. All this is finely minced, and I mainly do a fine mince on it instead of big pieces so it cooks quicker. All right, now I always like to kind of season as I go, so I'm taking some of this PS seasoning, Cajun seasoning, the bad juju. I'm just gonna put a layer on top. I got a good mix on this, and we will have to add more seasoning as we add more ingredients. Now what I've got to do is let this cook down until these onions get translucent, the bell pepper gets tender, and the celery as well. We're probably looking at a good 15-20 minutes before that happens, so I'll bring you back just as soon as that happens. All right, this is looking good at this stage right here. Our onions are translucent and getting tender. You can see the color changing on the bell pepper and the celery. They're taking more of a pale look, which means they're getting more tender. Maybe not completely there yet, but it doesn't matter. What we're going to do is add in these crawfish tails. Now these tails we can get here locally. You might can order them online. It's I don't know if you can see that, but it's certified Cajun. Certified Cajun, which means these come out of Louisiana. These are Louisiana crawfish. If you can't get them fresh, but as everybody knows, fresh is always better. And we're just gonna let these cook in here for a few minutes. They're already pre-cooked, but we're gonna leave them just to where everything comes up to temperature. We start getting a good simmer on this, and then we're gonna go from there. Now this kind of surprised me when I seen Ken use this next ingredient, but he says, trust me, so I did. Made this last week, and this is really what makes it so easy. Like I said, no roux necessary. He is using Campbell's, it's called golden mushroom. Now he made 4 times the amount. I think he had 3 cans of this that went into his, and but he used 4 pounds of crawfish. All his veggies was 4 times as much with 3 cans of this. So I'm going in with 1 can. And it might sound funny, but I tell you what, the guy is from Louisiana. I got to looking in his comments thinking people are going to blast him for using this. No, man. So obviously it's a thing, you know. I know it's a thing with me now because I done made it, and it's absolutely out of this world delicious. Now we're going to thin it out a little bit with some water. It's got me some bottled water here. Start with that right there. See how we look? Oh yeah. I'm just gonna let this sit here and simmer for probably a good maybe 10 more minutes. And I will add more water if needed. I don't want it super thick and I don't want it super thin. I really want it to look about like it does now, but for simmering for 10 minutes, it's probably going to thicken up some, so I'll adjust it accordingly. We'll be back. All right, so I've been going about another 5-6 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add these green onions in right here, kind of close to the end. It's not the very end. Give it a little bit more onion flavor. Probably going to hit it with just a touch more seasoning. So I'm putting a little bit of a different spin on this. This is actually something that Heston Blumenthal does over in Great Britain. He's a famous British chef, and he injects CO2 into his beer batter for his fish and chips. Well, I'm doing sort of the same thing. Let me show you. All right, I've got this unit here. This is made by Sodaology, and it's typically made to like carbonate water for sparkling water. You can carbonate fruit drinks. I even carbonate like V8 fruit drinks and stuff like that. It puts that fizz to it. It's really good, but I'm using it for a different purpose today. And what I'm doing is I'm simply going to pour this beer batter into this bottle. It says to only use liquids. Well, that looks like a liquid to me. It's not too thick. It's actually perfect for coating the fish. There is a fill line on this, which I'm not going to make it to the top of that. And that's good because this will expand. I've already tried this. It works great. What you want to do is put your lid on this. Tighten it down. And the beauty of this particular unit, the Sodaology, is that it actually carbonates from the bottom up. Most of them you see have a little thing at the top and they're shooting carbon, CO2 in this way. And I really don't think that that would work with this. I haven't tried it, so don't quote me on that, but I know this works. So basically you just pull the plunger here and you start adding the CO2. Just like so. All right, we're just gonna let this rest for just a second. I'm gonna take me a bowl here. Once we open this, we gotta work fast. I'm gonna put a little bit of just all-purpose flour in here, and that's just simply to coat our fish with before we dip them in this batter. All right, I've got catfish fillets. These come right here out of Mississippi, Simmons Catfish, and we're just going to coat these with flour. And like I said, that's just so the batter will adhere very good. Give us a good end result. I'll have a link in the description box if you're interested in this Sodaology. I'll have a code in there. If you use this code up to the 25th of this month, you'll get the same unit for $49.99, but it does not come with a CO2 cartridge. Mine did, but the deal that they're offering right now, it does not. You'll have to buy that separately, and any brand will work as long as it says 60L. That stands for 60 liter. In other words, it'll do 60 liters of drink, water, fruit juices, whatever. And so they're all interchangeable on that part. I'll have a link in the description box. Well, release this. That takes the pressure off. And here we go. Oh yeah, nice and frothy. Very light. So let's go over to the deep fryer. It is ready. Battered my fish. We're going to drop this in. Drop another one in. So I'm going to go ahead and get these a nice golden brown on both sides. Make sure the fish is fully cooked, and you can already see the results of this beer batter. All right, just salt your water up good, whatever you think. That's strictly up to a taste thing there. Give it a good stir. Now we're going to put our pasta in. Fresh pasta takes roughly a minute, no more than 2 minutes to fully cook. So just drop them in there. I mean, it goes really fast. All right, we have been going right at 2 minutes, and just take a look at that. Like I said, you don't want to drain this to a colander. Use a pair of tongs and just remove it out of your water. Now, if you're doing certain dishes, you can actually go straight into your sauce with this. I'm putting it in a bowl because we like to serve this etouffee on top of it, not really mix it in with the etouffee.
All right, so he likes to do his over the pasta. I'm the hillbilly carnivore, so I got to do it carnivore style, right? Right over the fish.
Hillbilly carnivore.
I'm like, man, this makes an excellent, almost a bisque, even though it ain't a bisque.
Hey, I just said they could put it over their fish, man.
Yeah, let's give a taste test both ways, both comparisons. Why not, right?
That's right. But in this video, I was wanting to show you 3 different things: how to make homemade pasta, how to make a quick and easy etouffee, and how to make a killer beer batter for any kind of fish. Let's taste and see what we think here. Oh yeah, here we go.
I gotta get some of them onions and all up in there. Yeah. Wow. You outdid yourself, dude. That is excellent.
Oh man, that's got a nice kick to it. You said you would put more cayenne. I don't think I'd mess with it.
I personally would have, but that is very good. For most people, that's the way it would be.
Listen to this crunch. Oh,
I like that batter.
oh, I love it. Fantastic. Y'all make sure to go over there and check out Ken at Kendall Frederick, his YouTube channel. And I think, you know, I know that if you're into that sort of outdoors thing, you're gonna love this channel. I want to thank him for this recipe, man. That's a keeper. It's quick, it's easy. It makes a great side, or it can be a meal in itself. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and I can vouch for Ken's channel. You turned me on to it last week, and I've been eating it up all week long. Really great content.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, that's it. That's all we got for today. So until next time, I'm Russ Jones. This is Derek Jones from Smoky Ribs Barbecue.